Hi, my name is Chris, and welcome to my unsponsored, independent overview of PowerSpec's entry-level PSUs. First, let me get this out of the way and say that I'm not an electrical engineer, nor an electrician. My understanding of PSUs is limited to limited black box testing, which is a pun because I don't know the inner workings of these PSUs and they're literally black boxes. So unfortunately, this isn't an in-depth review of these PSUs. Please take this overview with a grain of salt and buy these at your discretion. So today, I'll be talking about PowerSpec's 430 watt, 500 watt, and 550 watt PSUs. PowerSpec is Micro Center's in-house brand, as noted by Tom's Hardware review of PowerSpec's 850 GFM. That unit is listed to be made by High Power, and I'm not sure if that means that all PowerSpec PSUs are made by High Power, but the PowerSpec 850 shares the same UL certification as the units I'm looking at in this video. That certification number is E355757. According to the Micro Center's product pages, all these PSUs have over voltage protection, over power protection, and short circuit protection. And the 430 watt and 550 watt units have under voltage protection in their description. However, according to their manuals, they all include over temperature protection in their protection features section. This, however, is not included in their product specifications section, which all list under voltage protection, over voltage protection, over power protection, and short circuit protection. Including or not including these protections doesn't guarantee quality, but it does suggest that these units won't take out the rest of your system in the case of premature PSU failure. I've included some links to Cooler Master and Tom's Hardware about these protections and what they mean. The 430 watt and 500 watt are rated for 80 plus white efficiency, while the 550 watt is rated for 80 plus bronze efficiency. Depending on your electricity costs, the jump from 80% efficiency for the 80 plus white to 85% efficiency for the 80 plus bronze unit may mean something, but here in the US that doesn't matter that much in my opinion. All of these PSUs are standard ATX width and height of 150 millimeters and 86 millimeters, and have a depth of 140 millimeters. This means it should fit in most standard mid and full tower cases, which can be useful for replacing an older pre-built included power supply. I wouldn't expect these to fit in most ITX cases, and for those cases, I would highly recommend looking for an SFX unit, even if it can take an ATX unit. All of these units are non-modular, meaning you can't remove any unused cables. So I definitely recommend reviewing some cable management tips if you buy one of these. The 430 watt and 500 watt units come with ketchup and mustard cables with black braiding, while the 550 watt has fully black cables that also run flat. On screen, I've included a chart of all the connectors on a given cable for all PSUs. As a note, the 430 watt only has one 4-pin EPS connector for the CPU, instead of the normal 4+4 connectors of other PSUs. The single 4-pin connector can still power motherboards and CPUs that want 4+4 connectors, but I would not recommend overclocking your processor. Additionally, the 430 watts SATA cables terminate in legacy Molex connectors, which may be useful for some older hardware, but likely creates another section of cable to manage. Finally, the PCIe power cable is a 6+2 and 6-pin connection. The 500 watt and 550 watt units have full 4+4 EPS connectors, dual 6+2 PCIe connectors, and dedicated lines for SATA and Molex. This means you can fully manage away the Molex connector and still have access to all of your SATA connectors without extra slop, or run your legacy devices without worrying about remaining number of SATA connections. As a bonus, the Molex connectors also terminate in a floppy disk drive connector, in the case you need that. And an important fact on design, none of these PSUs have an option to turn off the fan when under low usage, meaning the fan will be spinning at all times. The fans aren't generally audible to my ears, but but those with sensitive ears to noise will want to consider looking at higher end PSUs with that option. Finally, the 430 watt and 500 watt white units use a honeycomb pattern for the grille, whereas the 550 watt bronze unit uses a wire for the grille. According to Puget System, the wire was rated best in terms of noise and airflow performance, whereas the honeycomb pattern grille ranked at number 5 out of the 9 patterns tested. A link to their article is in the description. While I can't talk much on the quality of the components of these units, the LTT PSU tier list doesn't even include the 80 plus white units, but does recommend the 80 plus bronze units for, quote, very cheap iGPU systems, end quote. These would be something like office PCs. As anecdotal evidence, I have built machines with each of these power supplies. All of these machines run Ryzen 5 3600s and 1650 Super cards, and they've been running fine for around a month now. I'm not sure how these units will respond in the future, but if something does happen, all of these PSUs carry a 5-year warranty. At $45, $50, and $55 for the 430 white, 500 white, and 550 bronze, as of the time of writing respectively, these are fairly marked up for what I would normally expect. For comparison, and using Wayback Machine, the 430 watt was going for around $35 around 2 years ago. It's always considered best practice to buy a high quality PSU for a PC. A PSU is like the heart, flowing that life-giving electricity for computers. So buying a quality PSU is like making sure you have a quality heart. But like some hearts, some are better than others at certain tasks. These are not PSUs made for high-end systems, but with the global shortage of parts due to COVID-19, it's at least worth looking at these for a PC, even if only for an office PC.